1 week ago, SpaceX's first mission with astronauts on board was scrubbed due to weather less than 20 minutes from launch. But the mission did launch successfully on Saturday, though once again weather concerns meant the decision to go came right down to the wire. The launch site was historic Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral, the same site used by the Apollo and Space Shuttle programs. For all launches from the Cape, meteorologists at the Air Force's 45th Weather Squadron provide weather support. A launch can be scrubbed if any of about a dozen weather-related constraints is violated. Most involve thunderstorms. The lightning launch commit criteria consist of 10 rules meant to protect against lightning strikes to the rocket in flight. These rules cover every launch, and none can be violated for weather officers to give the go for launch. And it's not just natural lightning. When a large rocket flies through a strong enough electric field, it can generate its own lightning, even if the clouds don't produce any natural lightning. 3 lightning-related rules were in play last Wednesday when the launch was scrubbed. Here's Brian Cizik, a Penn State graduate who's a launch weather officer with the 45th Weather Squadron.
There was actually 3 of the 10 rules were violated, but they were all really violated by the same feature, which was an Anvil cloud from a thunderstorm a little bit to the south of Cape Canaveral. It drifted over the pad, and the Anvil actually produced some intra-cloud lightning just within 10 nautical miles. So the lightning rule was being violated. The attached Anvil rule was violated, and then our field mills, which measure the surface electric field, so the surface electric field mill was violated because the field mills were elevated. And believe it or not, about 20 minutes later after T0, all those rules were cleared. So had the launch been 20 minutes later, we would have been a go.
The next chance to launch was Saturday, and though the day dawned clear around the Cape, typical Florida afternoon cumulus clouds and thunderstorms bubbled up, so it was touch and go once again.
I would say it was cautious optimism. So the weather rules cleared about 50 minutes before T-0, and there were some thunderstorms earlier on in the count, but all those had cleared out. There was one cell about 11 miles to the west that we were still watching. So Mike McAleenan, the lead weather officer, gave about just a 30% chance of violation. So there was some optimism there, just cautious optimism. And as we got closer and closer, we became more optimistic.
Though it didn't happen Saturday, launch decisions can occasionally come down to the last few minutes, and sometimes literally even seconds.
The weather team actually has the ability to call a hold in the final seconds before the launch. A couple seconds before the actual launch, it's actually more safe to just let the rocket launch. But you can call a hold in the final seconds, just a few seconds before the launch. The launch weather team does have that ability.
No rest for the 45th Weather Squadron. Brian is the lead forecast officer for a launch this evening from the Cape, a communications satellite carried into orbit on another SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Stay tuned. Our extended forecast is next.